Last week, the Washington Post carried an article with the title, Pastor Accused of $3 million Crypto Scam Says He May Have Misheard God. When I read that, I couldn't help but think of Donald Trump. Was Donald Trump specifically chosen by God for his mission here on earth? Well, during the Iowa caucuses, there was a video sponsored by the Trump campaign, which said the following. They called the video God Made Trump. And it says, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God gave us Trump. Mr. Trump, it adds, is a shepherd to mankind who won't ever leave nor forsake us. You know what? There are a lot of people who believe that. When Rick Perry was Trump's energy secretary, he told Trump that he believed that Trump was chosen by God. Wayne Root, a conservative extremist and self-described capitalist evangelist, has described Donald Trump as the second coming of God. Evangelist Jim Baker produced the chart purporting to show a drop in earthquakes that corresponded with Trump being elected president in 2016. In fact, on some Jewish and evangelical websites, it's been pointed out that if you use the Jewish form of gematria, which gives a numeric value to every Hebrew letter, Aleph is 1, Beis is 2, you will discover that the name Donald Trump, spelled in Hebrew, Daled Vav Nun Lamed Dalet Tes Resh Aleph Mem Pei, has a numeric value of 424. Similarly, the Hebrew phrase Mashiach, Mem Shin Yud Ches, Ben David, the Messiah, son of David, has the same numeric value of 424. You can't have a better proof than that, they say. And I say all this is a violation of Jewish law. I'm not talking about Donald Trump. There's an aspect of Jewish tradition that most people are not aware of that's found in this week's Torah portion. Our Torah portion describes that historic moment when Moshe ascended Mount Sinai and received the tablets of the law. We know about those commandments, but what most people are not aware of is a commandment that preceded the 10 Commandments. Here's what we're told. And the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai and the top of the mountain, and the Lord called Moses to the top of the mountain, and Moses went up. And the Lord said to Moses, go down, warn the people, beware of ascending the mountain or even touching its edge. Anyone who touches the mountain shall be put to death. And several verses later, again, God warns Moshe, descend, warn the people, lest they break through to the Lord to see, and many of them will fall. And Moses went down to the people and spoke to them. The very next verse has Moshe proclaiming the 10 Commandments. But before he did that, he made it very clear, saying it more than once, that no one but Moshe, God said, could come up to the mountain. Anybody who stepped on the grass, so to speak, was going to die. And interestingly, something similar happens with the building of the Mishkan, the tabernacle. The Mishkan was supposed to be where God's presence on earth would be felt. And yet here too, a boundary is set for the people. They can enter the tabernacle, but they can only go so far. When you reach the Holy of Holies, only the high priest could enter, and only once a year. Why is this? Rabbi Shai Held, in his book of essays, The Heart of Torah, provides a marvelous answer. In his words, wherever the Israelites go, God will go with them. But as inspiring as having God close by can be, it is also fraught with peril. If a sense of God's immanence is not amply balanced with a robust awareness of God's transcendence, we run the risk of thinking we can domesticate God. We convince ourselves that we can truly know who God is, or worse, we come to think that we can simply get God to do our bidding. Under such circumstances, religion becomes about God serving us rather than us serving God. Faith very quickly descends into idolatry. You understand what Rabbi Handel is saying? Sure, we should strive to be close to God, but you can't get too close. If you get too close, you might think that you understand God's way and interpret that the way you want God to think, enabling you to speak on God's behalf. The prophet Isaiah put this idea in clear terms when he says, my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways. There is a danger when people speak on God's behalf, a danger that goes beyond Republicans and Democrats, liberals and conservatives. It goes as far as our thinking in terms of good versus evil, or believers versus heretics. It's not by coincidence that the most radical terrorist organization, along with Hamas, is called Hezbollah. You know what Hezbollah means? It means party of God. And it's no coincidence that in the Middle Ages, wild mobs raped and rampaged through Europe, all in the name of God, branding themselves crusaders. And let me conclude by pointing out, when I told you that the Hebrew spelling of Donald Trump has the gematria 424, the same as Mashiach ben David, well, based on research that our own Rabbi Dr. Yogev, our resident mystic, pointed out, you know what else has the numeric value of 424? Sorrow Summon, a drug dealer. You know what else? Hamashuga, the crazy one. Donald Trump has the same gematria as Messiah, son of David, and also of a drug dealer, garlic bread, and the crazy one. What does this all prove? Nothing. And that's the point. Once at a rally of his evangelical Christian base, Trump told his supporters that God is on our side. It immediately brought to mind the story that took place during the heat of the American Civil War, when one of Lincoln's advisors said he was grateful that God was on the side of the Union. And Lincoln replied, "Sir, my concern is not whether God is on our side. My greatest concern is to be on God's side." Let us all strive to be on God's side. Baruch Elokeinu shebranu lichvodo. Blessed is God who created all of us for his glory. Shabbat Shalom.